On paper, the Mandonel looks like an amazing arc gun, considering the best way to put it is if you fire it through one of Qorvex's pillars, it can do 2 times damage, 2 times status chance, plus 10% crit chance, plus 50% crit damage, bounces twice, and adds 1 meter extra of punch through. So in the hands of Qorvex, this thing should be amazing. Especially since its blueprint is the rare drop for the easiest of the bounties for the new syndicate. Or the second one. Or the third one. Or the fourth one. Or the fifth one. Yeah. This thing they give away for basically free constantly. And you will probably get it by doing those missions. I say that, but theoretically one of the best places people are going to get these parts is mirror defense. But according to everything I can find, you have a 15% to get it on survival. And a 16% chance to get a part on alchemy. Alchemy rotation B and C, I do believe. Don't quote me on that one. And it's all parts drop from survival, alchemy, or mirror defense. People just tend to do the mirror defense because it's quicker. As nice as this looks for a Mastery Rank 10 weapon, I had some major doubts with it. As you can see, it doesn't actually say it in there at the moment. We'll have a look in a second, just to prove what I was saying earlier was kind of correct. Crit chance of 25%, status for 15%. These are per projectile, meaning that the damage, in theory, from what Digital Extreme have said in the past, is 1,440 per projectile, because this is kind of like a shotgun based weapon, which throws it straight away into a problem area of, yeah, this exists. And if we equip this and compare it to the Mandonel, it's got a bigger ammo supply, less crit, less status, though technically this is status per projectile, that is status in general, but it does more damage. So it's, I was really torn between the two of these, and yes, I did end up throwing a single former on this. It does come with 1V as standard, so I did put a second one on it, and haven't touched it since. Because building arc guns, once you have put a Gravimag in it and can use them in missions, is annoying unless you have a certain number of mods. Basically being primed Rabido lined barrel for the 187% damage instead of 100. It's 87% more damage. And I'm actually missing a mod. Ooh, naughty. I assumed I'd put this in here. I hadn't. Now I understand why I needed to come back and former a dash onto this. Yes, would recommend putting a dash on it, probably where ammo chain is here. You can see it's 600, to throw in Sabat rounds, which will give it an extra 60% damage. So this thing can actually be a lot stronger than it is now, which makes me actually say this could be better than the Qorvex Prime. The Qorvex Prime, which isn't the same, but is similar. That is more of a shotgun. This is, yeah, I still have no idea, radiation thrower. Technically this does more damage, but everything else is basically green across the board for the Qorvex Prime. Normally that is something I would try and fix when talking about builds and other things, because that dash, it kind of needs to be there, and then if you are doing higher level stuff, you can put Sabat rounds back in there for the extra 60% damage, or most of the time just run ammo chain, because this thing, well, it annihilates level 100s like they will level 50s or 60s. I was really kind of amazed at how well this thing actually worked. Even if its unique trait here, the beam charged Qorvex pillar, fully charged shots dissolve into a radiation field. Projectiles that pass through the field, that would be, I'm assuming, the field of the pillar. 2 times damage, 2 times status, 10% crit chance, as I mentioned earlier. These things are nuts, but the way it's worded can be weird, because fully charged shots dissolve into a radiation field. Projectiles that pass through the field gain this. Yeah, from what I can tell, what you are supposed to do is charge the shot, fire it, and then just spam fire, so all the projectiles you shoot afterwards that go through that field have the added bonuses. It does kind of work, but yeah. Why mention the pillar? Yes, it fully charges the pillars. Put that at the bottom, so this reads, fully charged shots dissolve into radiation field. Projectiles that then pass through would have made a lot more sense. But to be fair, I'm just being nitpicky here. This thing, it's not an amazing arc gun. I'm still, every day of the week, going to turn around and take my Cortege, the flamethrower. It has a lot less damage. I mean, on paper this does 1,440. The Cortege does 180. Not 180,000, just 180. It is way, way, way weaker. But it has a bigger magazine, a higher fire rate, and I just enjoy using that a little bit more. Which is why I'd kind of forgotten about this thing for the past 2 months. Over 2 months. Yes, I'm aware it's the 28th of February and this thing came out in the middle of December. Because I got it, leveled it up, was quite amazed on how well it does, and then did something with arc guns, took it off, and completely forgot this thing even existed. Until I was talking to somebody yesterday and they went, "What do you think of this?" And I went, "Oh yeah, that exists." Which is not something I would usually do with something this amazing. But it happened, especially since, if you noticed from the build earlier, this thing has 26,697.9 total damage. If we take off mods that don't affect the total damage, crit damage doesn't affect the total damage, and then put on these Sabat rounds I was talking about before to put into that one mod if you form a dash up here where I had ammo, that goes to 32,279. Because that obviously increases damage to everything. Elemental combos, more damage. Base damage, more impact, more puncture, more slash. Electricity, radiation, viral, whatever you put on this, that will add more damage too. Which is why I'm amazed I didn't come in and put that in earlier. Just like that. And then kind of swap it out depending on what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm really amazed to see that was like that, and normally would have fixed it beforehand, but hey, nothing like showing it actually being done partway through a video. Is it better than the Qorvex and the Qorvex Prime? Yes. I really want to turn around and say the Qorvex, or whatever you want to actually name that thing. I think it's actually Qorvex, but never mind. Yes, that thing has more crit chance. Mods can fix that, but no, I did not put crit chance on there. I increased the crit multiplier instead of the crit chance. I did notice that one. It looks better, as in the Mandonel. This thing has a weird name. It looks better than the Qorvex does. I like the look of the Qorvex. I prefer the look of this. The charged attack on this, being able to shoot through it and get double damage. Yeah, that is what saved this thing from ending its life in people's inventory and never being used. Being able to use the unique trait of this to get the 2 times damage, 2 times status. I'm using that for the 10% crit chance, though I don't use it as often as I should, because this thing, even without using those perks, that unique trait, is just... Yes, there are more powerful arc guns out there, but there aren't as many arc guns that deal... What's the term? Spray and pray. This has to be one of the best spray and pray weapons in Warframe, because you just go, there's an enemy somewhere in that direction, fire, and being a shotgun, it bursts outwards, and hopefully, more than likely, you'll hit something. When it comes to spray and pray, this thing is kind of king, because it does have a rather wide radius to it. A very wide radius to it. But you have to put dual rounds in there that increases the multi-shot, like you do with all of them. Well, all shotgun-based weaponry. And then it will be so much better. Still going to go back to my flamethrower because it's a lot more accurate than this thing is. The accuracy is what this thing is lacking. That is pretty much the only downside I found to the Mandonel. The accuracy of 1.4 is too low. If it was a lot higher than that, this thing would be great, but it is too much of a spray and pray weapon. It's what makes it good, but it's also what makes it bad at the same time, because sometimes you want accuracy and you want range. This thing, for mid to close range, gonna be hard up finding anything that's kind of wider. I'm not going to say better, because again, there are better weapons. Wider for that spray and pray effect. I hate spray and pray weapons, if I'm being brutally honest, but for close range, spray and pray is pretty much the best way to go, because it doesn't matter how close they are, this will end them. And with that, I think we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.